So good morning folks, we are live from East Midlands Aeropark. Thanks for joining us this morning. As you can see over my shoulder, you've got the Avro Vulcan, which we are going to go inside in a minute, and we can't wait to go on that. Now this one, we do believe that 3 of the engines still work on this aircraft, although it's not obviously in any kind of service anymore. But it's well looked after by this fantastic aeropark, which is all run by volunteers, and they do an absolute stunning job here. So let's walk around the back of the aircraft. So along the end of this delta wing, one of the most famous wings in modern aircraft now, in military, and of course it did move from here, and we saw this in aircraft like Concorde. Now this aircraft originally was painted white, as all the V-bombers were. It was initially designed as an aircraft to drop the nuclear bomb, and part of that reason for painting it white was to reflect some of that blast, if ever used. Later on they did become repainted as ballistic missiles forced the aircraft to change the way it manoeuvres in the sky. Instead of being at 50 to 60,000 feet, it would travel along the ground, and if any threat from Russia or even anywhere else in the east or across the world, it was able to fly close to the ground and try and go unnoticed.
Wow. Did you ever think you'd be stood underneath?
Never.
What
So
are these?
right where Andy now is, this is actually the bomb bay. You might have to just come around this side so you can see, because it's slightly ajar. This is where the bay would have opened, and then you would have had either a nuclear bomb stored in there, or even 21 1,000-pound bombs. And this whole part of the fuselage, which is the bay, that would have stored all of that armoury, which is just absolutely insane to think about it. And then of course you've got the 4 engines, 2 either side, which are built into the wing. So let's get inside it, shall we?
Wow, let's do it. Wow, pretty cramped. Right, I'm gonna jump up here, I think. Holy cow.
Wow.
Wow.
So this was never built as a business jet, was it?
Built for comfort, was it?
I don't think comfort came first, did it? So this is the inside of the Avro Vulcan. So at the front we've got the 2 pilot seat, which Andy's gonna, how those do?
Cheers, dude.
So Andy's going to get in closer. Now we can't sit in the front of the aircraft, but we're going to get, Andy can get the camera right, and then you can actually step on the top of that thing.
At least there's little handles everywhere. It's always a bonus.
They've probably added after our extent.
Wow. So what, there certainly isn't much vision out of it.
So I'm going to let Andy get lots and lots of footage there for you. You might have to talk on my behalf a little bit, because you've got to get there.
So we've got the 2, well, we've got the fighter controls at the front there. 2 ejector seats. Now it was only the pilots that got the luxury of sitting on ejector seats. All the rest of the crew had to exit the plane through the almost through the bomb doors. Wow. Oh, it's certainly cramped. Certainly cramped. I just have to mind my footing on the way down.
You're alright, you've got a platform just to your right.
Wow. Awesome.
You get a bit of footage around the chairs, because you can see around the chairs, you can see all the buttons and the controls.
It's all still.
And you can just see how awkwardly placed they are. I mean, nothing was put in a position to make it easy to fly the aircraft, unfortunately. And when you think of when they did go down to the Falklands on that long flight across the Atlantic, just imagine being in this aircraft for such a long period of time. And of course you've got the 2 pilot seats, and you've also got 3 seats in the back here as well, one of them being navigation, communication. So 5, you would have had 5 guys in here. Very, very cramped conditions, and as you can see from the seats, they've tried to make do best with what they can.
I'm certainly sure they weren't that comfortable. Oh god, look at that.
And then down there we've got the navigators area through the window there. Can you get in there?
Yeah, I'll get in there. I'm sure I can squeeze in there. Oh no. Oh dear.
We're okay. Right, so Andy's just going to go in there.
Yeah, this certainly wasn't built for comfort, was it? Wow, check this out.
So this particular example is the XM575, and it was the second Vulcan blue steel aircraft to be fitted with the upgraded Olympus engines. Just have to bear with me. I'm probably going to be in your view a little bit because there isn't a lot of space in here. But Andy's going to do his best to get around this aircraft and get as much footage as possible. As you can see, it is so cramped, but there's so much stuff to look at in here. You could easily spend a day in here just closely looking at all the components, the buttons, and of course you've got all the different systems they'd have had in place back then, which you might not necessarily have now because they're because of automated aircraft these days.
How did they fit 5 guys back here?
Oh, I don't know.
It's insane.
And of course you have to bear in mind things like, it's not necessarily the sort of things you'd ever think of straight away, but think about toilet duties,
oh god,
food.
It's close quarters.
You have to live in here as well. So Andy's going to go back up in the cockpit. You able to get high enough so you can see out the windows?
Yeah.
Just so the pilots, we get an idea what the pilot's view would have been like.
Compared to modern day aircraft, the visibility is very limited. So we've almost got what? We've got 2 main side windows, and what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 smaller windows to the front.
So this particular aircraft, this was delivered to 617 Squadron, which was the Dambusters, in May 1963, which then became part of the Scampton Wing. In 1974, the aircraft was moved to Waddington and allocated to Squadron 101 in May 1975, and then following that 50 Squadron, and that was in 1978. And this particular aircraft was moved for the last time when it joined the 44 Squadron, and the colours it displays today. Of course, I did mention it did have a different colour pattern previously. There's just about enough space for us to really turn around. So we've got the cable in there for the headsets. We'll just see that in front of you there, Anne.
Yep.
And of course, we've got all the navigational bits and pieces here. Got an awesome picture there with 4 of them flying as a quartet. The components up here, I mean, you've got the magnetic headings. We've got the engine fuel here for each of the 4 engines, 1, 2, 3 and 4. It's just incredible, absolutely incredible.
Insane. Did you ever think you'd get this chance?
No, never, ever.
Wow.
Certainly never get inside one. I've been very fortunate in this country to be able to see them at air shows in the past, and you know they're pretty memorable. I mean, you don't ever miss the sound of a Vulcan, let alone see one. But to be inside of one is just absolutely something else, and we have to say thank you to the Aeropark here, who have been absolutely fantastic in letting us do this. And as I said, they're all volunteers here, and if you want to come down and see this park, they are open. I think they're open 7 days a week. We'll go through the times and prices to come in here, but they've got loads of aircraft here, and you can obviously come and see this aircraft, this beautiful aircraft as well. That wasn't too bad actually.
That was quite graceful.
Thank you.
I was quite impressed. Can't say mine's going to be the same, but
so you've got the front landing wheel. Let's have a look up in the bay. There is a mesh curtain in the way, but that's okay, we can see past that. This aircraft was built during a time when, following the Second World War, we were looking for an alternative replacement for the Lancaster, something which could fly higher, faster. And there were originally 3 different manufacturers chosen to make the V-bombers. So obviously Avro, Vickers Armstrong and Hanley Page. And the name Vulcan came from the name of the god of fire, which is essentially what it was designed for. It was designed to unleash the god of fire. It was the 1,000-pound bombs, which it can store 21 in its belly. I did point at it earlier, which is just above us here. You can it actually starts all of this. So it gives you an idea of just how big this bay is, and runs all the way down here. Oh. And ends here, and the door starts just here, and the other door is here, so it gives you an idea of the scale of the size of this bay. And of course it takes more or less the whole of the fuselage of this aircraft as the engines are mounted on the wing.
But I wasn't